KTSM 9 News presents the 2019 Mighty Mujer Triathlon, hosted by KTSM 9 News anchors Natasha Paloma and Alejandra Briones.
Thank you for joining us for the 8th annual Mighty Mujer Triathlon. More than 400 women have signed up for this race. We are on air, online, so family, friends, supporters of these Mighty Mujeres are watching us right now. We want to say good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Natasha Paloma.
And I'm Alejandra Briones. We're very excited to be out here today. It's a very chilly start to the day, but everyone is ready to go. Joining us this morning is Amy Saldivar. She is a triathlete herself, and we're very happy to have you here with us this morning.
Yes, very much so. And as you mentioned, it is very chilly out here. We're feeling a slight breeze. So let's get a check of our forecast with Chief Meteorologist Monica Cortez.
Good morning, everyone, and good luck to all those mighty women already starting to compete in this race. I have great news as far as weather is concerned. So we have this cold front that's moving in from the east. This is what you would call a backdoor cold front. So basically what it's doing, it's pushing in some of that moisture ahead of it, which means we're in for some cloud cover later on this morning. And that also means rain chances in your forecast. But here's where the good news comes in. Rain should hold off until after the race. So we started off rather chilly. We expect to be in those mid to upper 40s throughout much of the beginning of this race. By the time things begin to wind down just a bit around 10 o'clock in the morning, we expect to hit 57 degrees. So it is still going to be a rather chilly start to this morning, chilly end to the day. We're looking at about 68 degrees, your forecast high. Rain chances, though, are expected to hold off until this afternoon. And as a matter of fact, there is that chance for some thunderstorms in the area, but that will come in later on this afternoon into the evening hours. Other than that, a beautiful start to this Saturday morning.
All right, we spoke with participants earlier this week and they say they were really worried about that rain, the wind. They say they can deal with the cold, but it's going to be cold out there for them. Amy, you've done this multiple times. You've participated in many triathlons. So what's going on in their minds right now?
Right now, they're probably nervous. Everything's just coming to a head right now, but they're eventually, once they get in the pool, then, you know, it's just about, it's game time. We got to get this going. The adrenaline's pumping, you're kind of nervous, and especially if it's your first one, you don't know what to expect. It's the fear of the unknown. So, but, you know, once they get into that mode, you know, you hear everybody yelling and cheering you on, you hear your family members, all of a sudden everybody's voices become very clear in this crowded facility. But it's a really exciting time for them. Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the race. So we have the sprint, which is the longer version. The super sprint, shorter, 300-yard swim.
Yes.
So that's where everybody is starting off right now.
Yes, so everybody has to do 300 yards. Basically, they have 12 laps to do. The first lane that they get into is just by themselves, and then once they get out of that lane, they transition into the second lane, which is basically a two-way street. And so the ladies are going to be swimming basically along the rope, which is usually on the left side of you. So that's kind of like you zigzag along through the pool. The last lane, which is the last lap, that's all by yourself. So you're in a lane by yourself. It's a little bit wider. You kind of feel like, okay, I got this. I'm finishing. You know, I got to jump out of the pool. So there's a kind of method to the madness.
A lot of women say that the swimming portion is actually the hardest part for them because a lot of them don't know how to swim when they first start. They're nervous about their breathing in the water. We were seeing right now on the screen, they're getting ready to hop in that pool. They're going to jump in feet first every 10 seconds, and that's so that they're not overlapping with each other.
Yeah, so 10 seconds, that's what's really important too about when they submit their times before the race. So they submit them twice. They submit kind of a pre-time, and then what they do is they submit the official time that they do right before the race, which I think was last week or this week. And basically, they have to submit a true time that says, okay, this is right. That's how they kind of put them in line. If your time is not accurate, what happens is that you can, you know, if you're a lot slower than you should be, the faster swimmers behind you are going to kind of clog up. So it becomes a little hairy. But so it's really important to make sure, just for safety and just for accuracy, that you do submit the appropriate time.
All right.
Yeah, and then not only that, it's a 10-second gap, but sometimes if women are like so pumped up, they may catch up to you and they could pass you at the end of the pool. That's usually the recommended way, because of the fact that if you try to pass in the middle of two women going back and forth, it can cause some danger.
All right, and right now some of the first ladies are about to go and
Yes.
head into that water. I was looking at them, and they're wearing, a lot of them are wearing tri-suits.
Yes.
So that's going to make it easier for them to jump in, get out, because the next part they're going to transition, and then they're getting ready for the cycling portion.
Yes, so for the cycling portion, or for the tri-suits, it's kind of built for all three sports. So it does have some padding in there for the cycling part, which you do need, especially while you're riding and everything. And then not only that, you have to make sure that you're ready to jump into the run, so you don't have time to change.
Yeah, and there we go. We see the first participant in the pool already swimming pretty fast. So she's probably the fastest swimmer,
Yes.
right, in this?
The length of that pool, 25 yards, right?
Yes, it's 25 yards one way.
So they're going 7 times.
12 times.
12 times.
12
Okay.
times, yes. Yes, so if you kind of break it down, it's just basically 12 one-way trips. For those of you that are not very familiar with the swimming, but yes, it's basically 12, and they can either jump in, or they can, which they go straight down, or you can kind of
sit
hold on
down.
to the edge and kind of just jump in, like kind of when you're a kid and you hold on to
Right.
the edge of the pool and you jump in with kind of a little bit of safety. That way sometimes that also helps a little bit, because you don't have to go all the way down, come back up, because you're kind of also holding your breath for that amount of time. So depending on what you feel most comfortable with, that's how you get in the pool, but you can't dive.
From here, they're getting out. It's going to be chilly out there. It's
Yes.
cold, so they're transitioning into their cycling gear.
Yes.
Are they feeling the cold at that point, or is adrenaline kicking in and they don't
Oh.
really feel it? What is it like?
Yeah. Well, so what ends up happening is that you get out there and you're going, okay, now I got to jump in, and mentally, it's all mental. It really is, and I tell the ladies this, it's all mental. So don't let that fool you, but basically you just have that mindset like, okay, now I'm getting out of the pool, now I got to go into my bike. And that's the one thing, your adrenaline's going, it's kicking in, and you just got to just keep going.
Yeah, and this is a race, and so they're racing against time. A lot of women have set goals for themselves. I want to finish in under 2 hours or around 2 hours.
Yes.
They're all wearing timing chips
Yes.
and around their ankles, and
Yes.
so that's how they're keeping the track of how long.
Yes. So what the timing chip does is they go over mats. So for every event part of the triathlon, they basically have that timing chip. It starts their time, so when they jump in the pool, they go over a mat, and then they jump in the pool. And they get out, they go over another mat, and then from there, they get onto the bike. When they get on the bike, they walk their bike up to the mat, and then it takes their time. So what it's doing, it's calculating every segment of the triathlon, including their transition time.
Right, and you know what, last year, I was looking at the race times from last year, and I saw the difference between the first place winner and the second was the transition time. The first place had it at like 40 seconds.
Yes.
The second place was like more closer to 2 minutes.
Yes.
And I saw that you even had clinics on transition. So how important are the transitions?
It's really important, because a lot of times, there's some women that, are thinking, okay, I have time to change, and that there's no time to change. So that's why you've got to make sure you have just what you need and don't have too many options, just what you need. That's what's really important. It kind of becomes distracting, especially when you're kind of in a havoc mode. And so you want to make sure that you have everything set up strategically. Even your helmet has to kind of like flip on and get ready to put on the appropriate way, because you don't want to have it on backwards either.
Yeah.
So yes, that's very important.
Okay.
You want to have it at least under a minute.
Under a minute. Okay.
Hopefully.
That's what your goal is.
Yes.
Okay, let's head out to Monica Cortez. She's out on the bike route. She is at Alabama and Pierce.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, first, I just want to say good luck to all the mighty women out there. Second of all, it's cold out here. So like Natasha said, I am on Alabama and Pierce. This is the point where the cyclists are going to go. They're going to turn around, head back up Heartbreak Hill. Now, I've been told that we're going to slowly start to see these roads getting closed little by little as the cyclists make their way along the routes. As you can see, we're still dealing with some of this traffic moving on through. But again, the cyclist safety will come first, and these roads will start to close little by little. But if you'll notice here where I'm at this particular point, we have a lot of mountains in our area. These westerly winds moving on in are actually going to funnel these clouds. These mountains are actually going to funnel the wind, making it a little stronger here in this particular area. So remember, these cyclists, they're wet, just coming off of that, some of them are at least, coming off of that pool. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. You're going to feel the cold out here, that little breeze, and again, they're going to have to make their way back up Heartbreak Hill, but no cyclists just yet. I will tell you exactly when we get to see our first ones coming up a little later this morning. Natasia, Alejandra?
All right, thank you, Monica. Let's talk a little bit about the cycling portion.
Yes.
For the sprints for the longer route. We have 2 bike loops, so that makes it
Yes.
18 miles. For the super sprint, you're looking at 9 miles.
Yes.
Tell us, you're saying that's a lot.
of miles
Even
for some
stationary, I
cycling.
feel like I can't even do that. So adding all those hills, tell us what the the cycling is like.
So yeah, I mean, cycling's my favorite part. That's close to my heart. But the cycling, it's all uphill. So we have a big challenge here. It's once you get off, you know, when you start going up Federal and then you turn on Alabama, immediately you start your hills. So you probably have maybe about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile to kind of just start getting your legs warmed up and getting ready and getting hydrated to attack those hills. The one thing about that is that you got to make sure the gears are in place. Most of the time when I've seen a lot of women, what they make the mistake of doing is starting to change their gears on the hill. So what happens is that your chain can fall out, then you have to stop and kind of put that back in. So that's what's really important, is getting ready for those hills, because those hills, you're going to hit about at least, 4,200 feet of elevation. We're right next to the mountains, so on the days that you do train, sometimes that wind can come down off the mountains, and it's a lot of side winds, so you're kind of trying to balance your bike. But it's really important to make sure the gears are in the right gear right before you approach those hills.
Yeah, and it looks like we already have some cyclists out on the course
that was
there.
fast.
Yes.
Yeah, we have some fast swimmers there. I believe we also have a map of the cycling portion, so let's see if we can take that to give everybody a better idea of what it is that these women are going to be doing. So basically, once they hop out of the pool, they're going to go down Alabama, and then where we saw Monica a little while ago, that's where they're going to be doing that turnaround, and then they're going to get closer and closer to
Yes.
Heartbreak Hill.
Yes, definitely. So once you
There
go,
it is right there. Here
yeah,
we go.
so once you go up here, once you go and do the turnaround on Pierce, and you come back down Alabama, it kind of gives you a little bit of a break to kind of recover from pushing, you know, yourself up that hill. And then once you start coming down, you kind of go back up. You kind of just do some rolling hills. So it's kind of nice, but you still got to keep pedaling a little bit just to make sure you keep your legs warm, you keep them going, keep them alive. And then once you come down Arizona, Alabama turns into Arizona, and then you get up to Cotton. That's where the women should already start changing their gears and getting ready for those hills and approaching them. They should hydrate along the way if they can during the time that they're on their bike. That's another tricky part of the race, is being able to kind of multitask, but you don't want to multitask too much. And then once they approach those hills, it's just about consistency and the cadence that they got to keep on their bike. So just kind of just keep going. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, though.
I want to ask you a little bit about the elevation. I have a
Yes.
lot of military friends that are not from El Paso, and they say if you can run in El Paso, you can run anywhere because of this elevation. And we have
Yes.
participants from Illinois, Massachusetts.
Yes.
So is that going to be, you know, an obstacle for them?
It potentially could if they're not used to this environment. I mean, we truly have people that move here to El Paso just to train for, you know, Ironmans and all that, especially when they compete out in Denver. That's higher elevation as well. So to be out here is truly an advantage for us, because when we go out of town, it's super easy. As far as the breathing, I won't say every triathlon's easy, but you know, our environment is really helpful for the training part. And if you could do this, I mean, hey, you can do anything.
Do anything.
Yeah.
And we want to send it over now to Stephanie Shields. She's out at Heartbreak Hill. We've been talking about this hill. A lot of women are going to be struggling here. This is going to be a very interesting thing to watch as these women go up this hill. Let's send it over to her now.
That's right, I'm at Heartbreak Hill, where they call it Heartbreak Hill for a reason, so let me show you why. If you take a look here, you'll see this very steep hill here. I mean, it's steep for cars, so you can only imagine the challenge it will bring for these cyclists. Now, we hear some cheers going on, so we expect the first cyclist will be coming through soon, but like Natasha and Ali were saying, this is a steep hill, so the shorter version is a 9-mile ride, which means the cyclists will just have to come through this once, but for the cyclists that are doing the longer version, they need to come up this hill twice. And you know, like Monica was saying, there are some winds out here, and they're actually kind of blowing towards the direction where the cyclists will be coming up through. So not only are they battling the chilly winds, they're wet from the swimming, but now they have to combat the winds with the gravity of the hill as well. So it will be a challenge, but they've been training and they've been preparing, so they should be, you know, it should be just fine for them. So KTSM 9 News reporter Susie Castillo, she's actually in the race, so we'll be keeping an eye out for her as well as the other cyclists. And you know, we have some spectators out here already. They're getting ready to see their friends, and they tell me this is actually the toughest part of the race, so it should be pretty exciting to see. So for now, we'll keep an eye out for those cyclists coming in. Natasha, Ali, back to you.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. So after you've swam, you've cycled,
You're already
done the cycle.
exhausted.
Yeah, you're already very tired, I'm sure.
Yes.
Then you have the running portion.
Yes.
So again, for the sprint, the longer portion, 3 miles. For the
Yes.
super sprint, 2 miles.
Yes. So you kind of got to get your muscles now adjusted to the running portion. So that's where your hip flexors start feeling like, oh my gosh, what are we doing now? You start feeling a little bit kind of like, do I have center blocks on my ankles now? So you got to make sure that when you're going through this course, there are a lot of rolling hills. Again, you're still in a high elevation too, because we're still right here close to the mountain.
Yeah, and that's actually what the running course looks like. It's around Memorial Park several times.
Yes, so for the shorter course, for the super sprint, they do go around the course twice. They do get a bracelet for every time they complete a mile, or a lap. So what happens is then they get a bracelet for the next one, and then the sprint they do 3 loops around the park.
I want to ask you, Amy, you were talking earlier how your experience that
Yes.
you know, this is really a family, Mighty Mujeres, and
Yes.
someone helped you during the running. Can you tell us about that?
And I just ran into her today. It's a lady named Laura, and she's so awesome because I was looking at some pictures and for my first one, and I remember that somebody actually hooked my arm because I was kind of like giving up, and running's not my strongest suit. And when oh my gosh, when she saw me struggling, and I was like, God, I can't finish this. And sure enough, she just grabbed my arm. I didn't even know her at the time. She grabbed my arm. She says, come on, girl, let's do this. You got this. And she ran with me with my arm hooked with hers. And for me, that just was like, okay, I can do this. I got to do that. And then the other thing, too, is that another lady joined us. And so I didn't even know them at the end of the race. We all finished together, and it was just so awesome. But since then, I've seen her at the pool. I see her on the bike, and actually I realized, I'm like, that's one of my friends now. So it's really made a lot of connections with people. A lot of the women, you see them, and you're like, hey, how you doing on your bike, or how you doing with your swim and stuff. So it really helps a lot.
So a great bond is built here.
Great bond, great moral support with everybody.
A lot of the women actually train together, and
Yes.
so they see each other here at the actual race. They
Yes.
push each other, and they're here for each other.
Yes, it's great to have a group. With my group, with my coach and the ladies that I met along the way, we created this bond, and we're still great friends. I've been in one of their weddings already, which is great. I matched her up with her husband. So Nancy and Matt are now together because I met her through Mighty Mujer.
Congrats to them.
Yeah, and I was in their wedding. So it's really cool. We had a group called the Vetukis through my coach, because we said, okay, well, half of us are vets and half of us are rookies, so let's name us the Vetukis.
Makes sense.
So that's our group, and you know, we're still great. We became great friends. We're always talking with one another. Some of them are in Georgia, so everybody's kind of dispersed, but we still keep in touch. When I see them, I'm like, hey, you guys want to go for a swim? All right, let's go do this. We'll wake up early and we'll just go get together for a swim, and that's our social meeting with each other, or we'll go riding and stuff. So it's a really great social connection, and you meet a lot of people in the community, for sure. So.
Right. And a very diverse group. I know we have mother-daughter teams. We have friends that have been friends for a while.
Yeah.
And then last year we did a story with a woman that brought her tias and her cousins, so a family event
Yes,
even.
it is. It's great because just to see that and have that bond, it's really awesome.
All right, let's head over to Tatiana Favela. She is at Alabama and Memphis along the cycling route.
Good morning, guys. We're out here by Memphis in Alabama, kind of in the center of one of the routes where these cyclists are coming up. If you can see already behind me, some women are already making their way down Alabama. Now, so from what I've heard so far, it does not seem easy at all. There are some panting going on. It seems like a very difficult uphill, and this is, again, just the midpoint of where they'll be going. They're actually going to be heading up to where Monica is at Pierce, where they'll turn around and come back down, but this is a very difficult uphill road. I can already see a few more coming, and the first woman that we saw already starting to cycle up this way was about 15 minutes after the race had started. So honestly, to me, that is pretty impressive, but you can see right now many are continuing this uphill. We're wishing them good luck, and we hope that, you know, once this downhill part comes down after their turnaround, it'll be a little bit easier. But like you all were saying, just coming uphill just seems very difficult, a lot of willpower with switching those gears and making sure that these winds are not being a factor. And right now it's not too crazy up here, but as you can see, many women are again trying to come uphill up Alabama. This is the midpoint, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more women coming up this way, and as they come back down, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated with the first cyclist again who came up. She is very far down, and it just seems like a very long, intense uphill. So as these cyclists continue to make their way up, we'll continue cheering them on and bring you those live updates from up here. We'll go ahead and send it back to you guys.
All right, well, thank you, Tatiana. Another thing we want to talk about this morning is new for Mighty Mujer. We have relay teams this year. We have three-person relay and a two-person relay.
Yes, so that's actually the first time this year. Gabriela had mentioned that as the race director for Run Paso. She had mentioned that this is the first year that they're doing that, and it's really exciting because sometimes for anybody that's maybe a little bit scared of the water or scared of the run, or biking, they just want to make sure that, I mean, for that they can have somebody with the strong suits. And I've done a lot of relays before too, and it's really fun because it's a team sport too. So somebody could do the run, cycling, or the swim part.
Yeah, and then their time chip, that acts as the baton, so that's what they're passing over.
Yes, so they have to pass that over to the next person, and then they put it on their ankle, and then they go to the next sport, and then they have to run over that race mat.
KTSM actually has a relay team this year. We have Selena Quintana, she's doing the swimming portion. We have Susie Castillo, who is doing the cycling portion. And then we have a special guest. Her name is Sherilyn. She's doing our running route this morning. Susie, who's doing the cycling portion, was actually a little bit surprised to find out that she had to do the sprint.
Yeah, that's important to note that they have to do the longer distance, right?
Yes, so they do have to do the longer distance with the relay this year. So that's only applicable to that particular event. So the cyclists will actually have to do 18 miles, which is 2 loops on the race course.
Wow. Yeah. So you're going up that hill. I also want to talk about going down, because I was talking to Susie about that.
Break?
Is it a break, or are you feeling like all the elements kind of hitting you, the wind, or how is that like?
So when you're coming down, it's really important to be safe about that too, especially if you're not comfortable with the speed that you can start gaining with all that momentum that you're coming down the hills, because you can gain a lot of speed coming down Alabama, and you can gain a lot of speed coming down Heartbreaker Hill. So what's really important, if you're not a seasoned rider, what you want to make sure is that you understand how to also use your brakes too. And I know that sounds very fundamental, but for those that are very entry-level cyclists, you want to make sure that you're kind of pumping the brakes a little bit to make sure that you don't throw yourself off, because you could potentially throw yourself off in a little curve or a little rock or something. So it's really important to be safe. And then the other thing too is also to make sure that you keep your legs warm. So you don't want to just kind of cruise it and just say, okay, I'm going downhill and I'm not going to pedal. It's really important to just still make sure that you're still keeping those legs warm and those muscles going, because again, you're going to have to start getting ready for the run.
And Amy, there's a reason you know all this, right?
Yes.
Your family owns a bike shop.
Yes.
So you grew up with that.
I grew up in a bike shop since I was about 4 or 5 years old. We're going into our 41st year this year in May. My father and my mother both started it. My father was a retired fireman, and he started it right when he was retiring from the fire department. And they started this business together, and that was my first job. And it's still kind of my part-time job, helping Mom out. And it's been great because I still stay in connection with all my friends and stuff, all my riding buddies from BMX days to road to mountain biking, and now we have road biking.
So you did BMX too. Pretty cool.
I did. I still have my first bike too. That's my heirloom.
All right. Well, we want to send it back out to Monica. She's along that bike route as well. She's over on Alabama and Pierce, and that is where we're already starting to see some of the cyclists starting to make that turnaround. Monica.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. We've already seen quite a few cyclists already making their way out here. And like Amy has been saying, you are definitely seeing these girls taking their time, being very careful, continuing to keep pedaling here as they're making their way up the hill. And then you'll notice that the minute that they turn around on this pathway, they kind of just let it cruise way down. It's a nice little break from that uphill battle that they've been having to deal with. And the good news is here that the wind's slowly starting to die down. They're not completely gone, but the breeze is starting to become a little less, so it's a little bit of a less factor for these ladies, but not so much. I mean, you're still seeing that wind here, but the good news is that the chilly air is starting to slowly warm up as we're beginning to see a lot more daytime heating taking place. That's the only good news. But again, a lot of women already making their way out there, truly mighty women here in this area. So that is the good thing. I'm really inspired by these women. I'm telling you, some of these girls are coming out of the pool wet, and they're still making that trek. Again, the air really does become a bit of a factor in this race, but at the end of the day, it's not how fast you finish, it's finishing here at this point in time. So that's very incredible. Back to you, Amy, Alejandra, and Natasia.
Thank you, Monica. Well, another important thing to note here is that on the cycling trail, if you get a flat tire, these women have to know how to change it. They are not allowed to get help from anyone.
Yes, that's correct. So what they have to make sure of is they have to know how to change their tire. So if there is a flat, they have to know how to get everything ready to get, and then also to make sure that they have a spare tube. Sometimes some of the bikes actually are the more higher end aero bikes. They will be tubeless, so a lot of times they don't have to worry about that. But you do have to be careful in case you hit some glass that could slash your tire. But the tubeless, you're kind of done. So you can't change that one because that is a little bit different than just a regular tube in a tire. So that's what's kind of a little bit better just to have, because that way you can change it out and get back on the road again. The other thing is also when your chain pops out. That's really important too, because if your chain pops out, you've got to make sure you understand how the derailleur pushes in and you put that chain back on. So there's a little bit of mechanics that's involved, and that's why they do offer the bike mechanic workshops and stuff, the clinics for everybody to learn that.
Another rule that stuck out to me is no headphones, and I need headphones to run. I need headphones to work out. So why do you think that is? Is it so you don't kind of get on a
on a high,
like, you know what I mean?
On a good rhythm there with the music.
Well, it's good to train with it, but it's also because it's part of the USAT rules that it's for safety purposes. The reason is that you don't want to be fully immersed with headphones when you're on your bike, because you want to make sure that you're watching all the cross streets, especially even when you're coming down the road on Alabama, because not every street is guarded by a police officer. There's barriers, but you still have to be careful because there's still some traffic around the way, and you have to make sure that you can hear everything, hear the elements. You may also want to be, you have to be able to hear also the riders that are passing you, because that's also, it has to be done in a safe way, and it has to be done within 15 seconds. So that's really important. They're about 3 bike lengths away from each other, so that gap has to be between each of the riders. But if you are going to pass, you want to make sure you're saying passing on the left or passing, because you don't want to ever pass on the right. That can definitely cause an accident. So there's a lot of rules, especially because they are part of the USAT rules.
I want to talk a little bit about the stories behind the women.
Yes.
Last year, okay,
Yes.
I did a story. I want to share something really quick.
Yes, absolutely.
I did a story on Rachel Curtis.
Okay.
So she was a participant. She said she had just had a baby, and she looked out her window and she saw people cycling, and she said, "This is a sign for me to get involved, you know, to do something." So she started training, and she said she took her stroller out and she started walking with the stroller, and then that turned into jogging and running. And I saw that last year, and I had just had a baby, and I started following her advice, and I lost 30 pounds since last year. So, I mean, do you see this kind of inspiring women?
Oh, yeah. You know, it's amazing what our bodies can do, and a lot of people don't realize that. But our bodies are amazing. For example, this year I trained somebody, it's a breast cancer survivor, and she's done awesome. I've seen women out there that are paraplegics. Last year we had our first paraplegic, I believe, and she's here. I saw her this morning, and she did amazing last year.
I remember her.
Yes, and she's one of my coaches, folks that he trains as well. It's amazing to see these women out here doing whatever they do. A lot of women have just had babies. I know last year I had just had a surgery and I jumped into it, and the first year I did it, I lost 30 pounds. Wow. And I mean, I wasn't like heavy set, but I had lost a lot of weight. And then the second year I did it, I lost again some more weight. And it's just amazing because you just keep doing it and you feel so good. It's 3 sports again, you know, it's 3 things that you're doing. So a lot of people that just run, you know, or just do weights, they get into this and they go, oh yeah, it's going to be easy. It's really not, because it's a different endurance. So you've got to also understand to do the bricks. The bricks are really important, which is back-to-back training with the cycling and swimming, cycling and running, or whatever it is, however your training goes. But it's really important to do those because that's what builds up your endurance. Yes.
All right, we are going to take a short break. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 8th Annual Mighty Mujer Triathlon. We have our own team out there. Selena Quintana, she is doing the swimming portion, and she's about to get into the water, so we're watching her there.
There she is.
There she is. She has her goggles, her cap on. She's ready to go.
Go, Selena.
Yeah, she told us she used to swim a little bit back when she was like in high school, I believe, and so she was very nervous about this. She looks a little nervous there, but I think she's going to do great. She did some training the other day. She said it was definitely difficult to get back into it, and she was sore from head to toe days later.
That can happen with all of those.
She's doing her. Yeah, she's doing really well.
Look at her.
So this is 300 yards that she'll be swimming.
Yes, 12 laps.
12 laps.
And then we have Susie Castillo waiting for her over in the transition phase for the cycling portion. So Selena's going to have to speed it up there a little bit to get to Susie. But so these women, again, we've been talking about how they've been training for a long time. And the training portion of itself is a little difficult.
Yes.
You know, they have to be very dedicated. A lot of the women get up really early in the day. You know, these women have jobs, they have families.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to send it out to a story that we did highlighting some of the women as they were training before today.
Yes.
KTSM anchor Sandra Ramirez has that story for us.
You may drive past them while they're out riding or see them as they give it their all while making the steep hills up Alabama Street in central El Paso.
I'm tough, very tough.
These local women are training for the 10th annual Mighty Mujer Triathlon in April. They come from different backgrounds.
I am a disabled veteran. I have injuries from, let's see, shoulders, ankles, shins, hips, like everything.
And different athletic abilities.
So I went from being a couch potato to doing this. I'm going to be 40 soon, so it was kind of like a milestone for me. I just wanted to accomplish something that I hadn't never done before.
Sonia Castor is balancing her training with her full-time job as a nurse.
What's been the most challenging part of the training for you?
Definitely the bike. Yeah, the hills are no joke, and that's been the hardest for me.
And their biggest challenge, finding the time for long bike rides, early morning runs, and evening swims. Tiffany Workman runs an in-home daycare and has a 4 a.m. wake-up call.
I do my bikes and my runs before I get any children at 5:30 in the morning. I swim in the evening after they go home.
While these women say they're not willing to give up, they also have a message for you.
Anyone in any shape just got to get off the couch and do it, because that's where I came from, off the couch.
Just get off the couch.
No
All right.
excuses.
Yes.
No
And you know what? Our
excuses.
Susie Castillo, she had a difficult time also finding time to practice. She's doing the cycling portion. You know, she has a son and she works. And she said, you know, by the time she goes home, it's dark out there. So it's really hard finding that time to practice and all that.
It is. It's a big commitment. It's a big commitment not only from you, but your family has to kind of sacrifice
They have
some
to
things.
be supportive.
Yes, and you always kind of have to like have that talk with everybody. Say, okay, I'm going to do a triathlon, and I'm going to be training. I'm going to be waking up really early. I'm going to be going to bed really early. I may not be home to make dinner or be here for dinner or something. So a lot of the girls have to wake up super early to train because of work or because of school or anything. So family, it's a lot to balance.
Yeah,
It
and the
is.
men support the women. I see
Yes.
them out here cheering their
Yes.
Mighty
Wives
Mujeres on.
their
Yes.
sisters,
Yes.
their moms.
It's great. I mean, the men will come out here. I mean, kudos to the guys. Thank you for doing that because it's really important that you have everybody support. The last thing you need to feel is just the stress of not, you know, being there. So just to have that support is amazing.
And in that story that we just saw, you heard one of the participants say the cycling portion was difficult for her. She said those hills are no joke.
Yes, they are
And
no joke.
Including Heartbreak Hill.
Heartbreak Hill, which I think we may already be seeing some cyclists out there. Let's send it over to Stephanie. She is on Heartbreak Hill.
That's right. We've actually seen some cyclists come in already, and they're actually conquering this hill pretty well coming up. And I actually see a lot of them smiling as they make it up to the top. And then, you know, once they get up here, it's just a straight shot down again. I actually have a spectator here with me who's out here supporting all these cyclists. Here with me is Bruno. Can you tell me, who are you out here supporting?
We have 5 friends, some from work, some from a group of people that we ride with, and so we're very happy and expecting them to come up here pretty quickly.
Have you seen any of your friends pass by yet?
No, not yet. They're seated further behind, so we're waiting for them.
And so tell me, what have you seen so far? You know, we're both out here. It's a little chilly. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh man, it's tough for them, but it's the same for everyone in the field. However, the conditions, you see the wind is blowing in their faces as they're coming up on the climb, and so I heard you say that they were smiling. I don't know if they're smiling or gritting their teeth, but I mean these are amazing people doing amazing things.
They sure are. And you tell me, you also have some experience with training. What have your friends? What has their training experience been like?
So we've done a lot of the other events that this same organizer, Ms. Gabriela, she organizes other events here in the city, and so this is one of the best ones that come up, and so it's great. There's the Eagle in the Sand Triathlon as well, and so yeah, very nice events.
And we see a lot of people out here, they're cheering them on. Some people even rode their bikes up here to cheer these cyclists on. Can you believe that some of these have to do it a second time, come up that hill again? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just what we do. I can tell you, a lot of them are gonna say, I'm never gonna do this again, but I can tell you next week they're gonna start training for the next one.
Well, thank you so much, Bruno. So as you can see, it's a very challenging experience, but it's very rewarding for them. Like he said, it may look like they're gritting their teeth, but I'm sure they're very rewarded once they do get past it. You can see more coming in. It's very challenging right at that peak as they come up, but you can see once they get over, they just shoot right down. So take a look at that right there. It's very inspiring, and they really are proving to be mighty mujeres. Natasha, Ali, back to you.
Heartbreaker Hill for nothing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, go ahead.
What you're seeing on your screen right now, that is Jennifer. She's actually a KTSM 9 intern. She's doing the whole triathlon, the entire thing.
Nice.
And so we're rooting for her as well this morning. Good luck to her. Also, that gentleman that we saw there was telling Stephanie, a lot of women will say, I'm never doing this again. But
and you were like, yeah, I've heard that before. But they come back?
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm not kidding. I tell people, get used to this, because this is going to be your way of life now for a couple of years. You love it.
Yeah.
I mean, love it.
And we quickly want to remind you, we're going to be on air until 8:30, and then you can continue watching at KTSM.com. We're going to be right back after a quick break.
Welcome back to the 8th annual Mighty Mujer Triathlon. So far we've seen already our swimmers, we've seen some cyclists. They're going up and down hills. And then Selena Quintana, KTSM's very own, she jumped into the pool a couple minutes ago. There she is, she's finishing. Or it looks like she's getting she's taking a quick break there. Oh, she's going back in. Yeah. It's quite a swim, right?
Yes, it is. It is a swim. I will tell you, because there's so many people and there's so much splashing going on. So when you actually are training, the water's calm and everything, but it's kind of a good idea to actually train with your buddies in the same lane and stuff, to kind of get used to the water and kind of all the current going on. That way it just kind of calms you down a little bit before race day.
We've done stories in the past where women say, I get so much anxiety from being in the water, so that's something they really have to overcome as well.
Yeah, definitely. But, the more you train, the more you get used to it. I always tell people, just think of it like a spa day, that it's like calm and the water's calming, so think of it that way. But it can overwhelm you, but again, it's all mental. It's all mental.
And we see her running out there, so she completed. She's probably really cold right now.
Yeah, she's probably very cold.
But she is running out there, though, because we have Susie waiting for her in the transition phase for the cycling portion. Susie will be doing the 18-mile bike ride.
Yes, so the 18-mile bike ride is going to be awesome. I mean, I love biking, so for just any kind of cycling event, I'm there if it's a relay. So she'll be fine. She'll be fine. Yeah. Just one day at a time. I should say not one day, one cycle at the time. So.
All right, and we have our own Tatiana Favela. She's out on the cycling route.
Hey guys, good morning. Again, we're out here at Memphis and Alabama Street, one of the midpoints for the cycling. Hey guys, well again, we're out here at Memphis in Alabama, the midpoint for the cycling route for many women out here. We've been seeing a lot passing by. If you can see behind me, some are already starting to make their way down. Now, one thing I do find extremely impressive is that even when they're going downhill, they are still cycling full force. This isn't a coasting down thing. They are putting full force downhill, trying to make sure that they get to their next route or destination in the route as soon as possible. Now, we still are seeing a lot more women, again, cycling up this uphill road, which is extremely difficult. I've been hearing a lot of them actually cheering themselves on, spreading that positivity on the route. And a lot of them have been extremely tired too, which I would not doubt at all. But it's very inspiring to see these women power through this route. Again, this is an uphill and it's the midpoint. So once they start coming down, we saw the first cyclist come down literally 30 minutes right after the race started. And again, full force. They are not coasting down. You can see these upcoming cyclists just putting all that force in, a lot of different techniques. And you can tell that a lot of them have been training very hard and a very long time for this. So as more cyclists continue to make their way up, we're going to keep out here cheering them on. And again, this is the midpoint. So once they come down here, they're going to be heading towards Heartbreak Hill, which I can only imagine is way more intense, way more difficult. But we know that they got this. We'll go ahead and send it back to you all.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. And we're kind of just watching them kind of shivering.
Yes.
But you say they're drying off pretty quick from being in that pool.
Yes, so the tri-suits are actually made so they don't absorb a lot of the water, so they're made to dry very quickly so you don't have all that water on them, and then also the weight too. So they do dry, and that's why the cycling, the chamois in the butt area, that actually is also very thin, so that way it doesn't absorb all the water. So they dry very quickly with any of the air and stuff. So
mentally, I mean, what do you tell yourself as you're cycling? I mean, I'm sure your legs are burning.
Yeah.
How do you get yourself through this?
It's just another Saturday. It's just another Saturday, and it's fun.
And it'll be over before you know it.
Yeah, exactly. But I tell the women, have fun with it. Take the moment in, because you know what, once you take it in, and if you're so freaked out, no, just calm down, take it all in, have fun with it, because cherish it. It's a great event.
All right, and a lot of women are again overcoming a lot of obstacles, a lot of personal obstacles as well. So here's Erica's story. She's going to share this with us.
Awesome.
I have to walk, if I have to crawl, if I have to roll, but I will be there.
Mighty Mujer participant Erica Armendariz not letting anything get in her way.
Overcoming, you know, the weight issues and the struggles that come with the Mighty Mujer.
Armendariz has had medical issues that have prevented her from participating in Mighty Mujer in years past.
I overcame 4 surgeries that year. I came back and I registered for Tucson. Unfortunately, in Tucson, I was unable to compete there because I fell off my bicycle during the training.
For Armendariz, not all the obstacles have been physical. She lost her mom to depression at just 17 years old, but she learned from that and started to do things that made her happy.
So, of course, physical activity just creates those endorphins, that feeling of happiness, and being out there and being in that competitive mode, definitely women can overcome any illness if we set our mind to it.
Working out, running, swimming, biking, doing it all, and having fun while doing it.
We're out there to just have fun, meet a great group of people, and become part of this family, which is Mighty Mujer.
Stand by, Monica. You go.
Good morning, everyone. Well, look at this. We are already looking at some of these cyclists moving on through. I've been watching them all morning long, and you can see I've noticed a pattern here. You're going to notice that these women are not competing against each other. They're actually competing against themselves. And so you can definitely see it in their eyes. They are looking at just trying to make that turn right down the hill and then make it all the way again. Remember that some of these cyclists, they're basically doing this twice, so 18 miles. You are looking at the fact that these women, they're struggling. It's a little bit on the chillier side. We're starting to get some of that cloud cover. That's not exactly good news. Why? Because that means that during the rest of this morning, we may see those temperatures feeling just slightly chillier as the cloud cover begins to take on over. But again, as far as the winds go, we are definitely starting to see these winds calming down quite a bit more, which is good news. So we are starting to see a lot more cyclists continuing to make this trek, continuing to just move on through. You can see, oh no, looks like one of our cyclists here just having a little bit of a hard time trying to make, there you go, she got it. All right, and so you can definitely see, again, these women just moving on in, and it's really cool because you kind of get to see these women from all sorts of speeds. You see them coming in real fast, real slow. Again, they're really competing against themselves, and I can only imagine how difficult this can be because some of these women, they're doing all three things. They are swimming, they're cycling, and they're running. Of course, some of these are doing kind of like a relay type of thing, but keep in mind that the people who are doing relays, they're doing 18 miles. Can you picture that? 18 miles. So it is going to be a bit of a difficult journey, but again, it's just going to show how mighty these women can really be. Stephanie?
That's right. So we're here at Heartbreak Hill where we've been seeing a lot of cyclists come through already. As you can see here, there's actually a big support system out here. There's a lot of spectators, people with their dogs and bikes as well. And one thing that I noticed that was pretty cool was, I don't know if you could see from here, but some of these cyclists here, these are not in the race. They are actually riding alongside the participants. They're cheering them on. So they've been going up and down this hill as well, kind of cheering on the cyclists as they come through. So I thought that was really cool. And like Monica was saying, they're not competing against each other, but themselves. So as a lot of them are coming up this peak here, they're telling each other, you know, good job, keep going, keep going. And so I thought that was really awesome to see, especially because this part is so hard. It's such a challenge. And some people actually are doing this twice, like Monica was saying. The ones that are doing the relay, they're doing the 18 miles. So they come through this and then they know I have to come back and do this part again. So it's so cool to see that support system. You could see more cyclists coming in. Like she just conquered right through that peak right there. And as soon as they come here, they have like a straight shot right down. It's downhill from there. So that's not too bad. But you know, these winds, they did calm down a little. So it feels a lot warmer. That probably feels pretty good for the cyclists because they're coming out from swimming, they're wet. So it's starting to feel a little bit nicer out here. So we're waiting for a little bit more to come in, and we're also waiting for our KTSM 9 News reporter Susie Castillo to come in. She's part of the relay race, so she's actually going to be coming through this twice, so we'll keep an eye out for her. So back to you for now.
Thank you, Stephanie. Well, this is the cloud cover I was telling you about. Remember earlier this morning I was telling you about a backdoor cold front that's moving on in? That is actually the moisture it's pushing on through. So we are still on track to potentially seeing some thunderstorms later on today. But I'm telling you, the good news is these cyclists and these athletes don't need to worry about any of that weather really impacting them. You can actually see behind me here, these cyclists already making their way uphill. But what's really cool, and I can see it right away, is the minute they make that turn, and you'll see it in just a second with our athlete right here, she's going to make that turn, and as soon as she makes that turn, it's just a nice cruise downhill. So it's a little bit of a relief here for these ladies as they're making this way. It's a little easier for them to just make it downhill as opposed, of course, to uphill. So we are going to continue to keep an eye out. Of course, Susie Castillo is going to be moving on in. I can't wait to see her. We're going to be cheering her on just like we've been cheering all of these athletes on. But But for right now, let's go ahead and switch it over to Tatiana.
Hey Monica, well, we actually just saw Susie come right up this path again. This is the midpoint for the cyclist route up Alabama Street. Again, many more cyclists are starting to make their way uphill. And again, all of them coming down. It's full force on. Woo! And the great thing about this is that, like you said, Monica, this is not a competition against each other. This is one against themselves. And the great thing that I've loved hearing out here is all the communication, all the positivity that each of these women have been giving towards each other. If there is one struggling, the one on the other side is telling them to keep going, motivating them to keep on pushing through this cycling. So again, we're looking forward to Susie coming down. As she was coming up, she definitely seemed like she was pushing through, but again, that's super inspiring, especially for us, a coworker, seeing our coworker make her way up. And we'll go ahead and keep our eye out for these women continuing their way cycling up Alabama. Very inspiring. Again, some are struggling, as you can see, but like I said, the communication out here, the motivation, the support that many of these women have been giving towards each other, it's amazing. So definitely inspiring to see all these mighty mujeres out here cheering each other on. We'll go ahead and send it back to you, Ali, Natasha, and Amy.
So welcome back to the 8th annual Mighty Mujer Triathlon. We've seen women swimming, we've seen them cycling. It's cold out here, but they're making their way. We also have our team members out there. We have Selena Quintana, we saw her earlier in the swimming. Susie Castillo making her way on the bike route right now. And we also have a special guest joining us for the running, Cheryl Lynn. So we are very excited to be here for our second year, Alejandra and I. We also have a special guest, Amy Saldivar. Amy, you've done this before. You've coached. Right now, women are doing the cycling. You could see them power through that right now. So
and you were talking about the gears, how you can already tell who's in the right gear and who's not.
Right. Yeah, so you can tell, especially if they're not prepared or they didn't switch into the easier gears before they approach their hills. That's what's really key to really attacking those hills. So for them, you can see the struggle kind of like pushing, and I'm going like, change the gears, change the gears. So that's what's really important, and that's what the great thing about this race is that we all do that for each other. You know, if we see each other struggling, or like, hey girl, come on, let's go, or hey, change your gear. And so that's one thing that is really great about this race.
Hey, Selena, come join us.
Yay! Good
Selena
job.
Quintana doing the
Woo!
swimming. How was it?
Oh we saw you. You did really good.
Yeah, your form was awesome.
Really?
Yes.
Cold turkey, no training. But I give all those women and everyone doing it so much props because I just did the swimming part. So many of them are doing the whole thing, and I had to stop halfway through to catch my breath. Or you probably saw me stop a couple of times. I even lost my cap.
And you know what? You are a very athletic person. You
think
ran.
So?
Well, you ran. It's difficult, right?
Oh, and it's okay if you had to stop to catch your breath as long as you finish it.
Yeah, that was my goal. I was like, don't sink and drown. That's one thing, and don't crash because there's so many people in the pool. But right now, my body's like shaking from like my shoulders to my feet. Everything is just on fire.
Once you hopped into that pool, was it what you were expecting it to be? With other swimmers in there with you?
No. Well, yes and no. Yes, in the part that I knew there were going to be a lot of people who had been training for months, so I knew they knew what they were doing. For me, I was just, when I was in line, actually, I was speaking to some of the girls and the women next to me, and some of them were just like me, and they were like, I didn't train, I'm just doing it.
Just winging it.
Yeah, but they were doing the whole thing. So when I got out of that pool, my honest thought was, oh my God, how are they gonna go biking? Because I could barely run to Susie. I was like going, and I could see Johnny right there, and I was so embarrassed. But it was, honestly, I want to see if I can do this again.
Yeah. Maybe so do the whole thing, again. Maybe?
Yeah, I don't know about the whole thing.
You can do it.
But the swimming was a lot of fun. And I'm proud of all the girls that are doing this.
Very proud.
Good job. Good job.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, everyone. This wraps up our air coverage here, but we will be on KTSM.com for the next hour, so be sure to join us there.
KTSM 9 News presents exclusive coverage of the 2019 Mighty Mujer Triathlon, broadcasting around the country in conjunction with USA Triathlon.
Thank you so much for joining us for the 8th annual Mighty Mujer Triathlon. We know a lot of friends and families of these Mighty Mujeres are watching us right here online, so thank you so much for joining us. I'm Natasha Paloma.
And I'm Alejandra Briones, and joining us this morning is Amy Saldivar. She is a triathlete herself, so she's giving us a lot of really great insight as to what's happening along these routes with these women, what's going on through their mind.
Yes.
We got word a little while ago that the super sprint swimmers were already in the pool.
Yes.
We already have our sprint competitors, participants along the bike route right now.
We're an hour in right now.
Yes.
So how do you think the participants are feeling at this time? Like being out in the, right now they're usually cycling, right?
Yeah, they're cycling right now. So they're on the road, drying off from the pool. And if you're in the relay, I guess you're not. But yeah, so they're going through that. That's kind of like the adrenaline point for me. And you know, depending on what your strong suit is, that's what's going to be really important. So at this point, they're kind of getting ready to go now transition into the run once they're done with the cycling part. So that's going to be a shift of muscles, a shift of your lung capacity. The swimming is what kind of builds your lung capacity in terms of all three sports. So they all kind of complement each other in terms of the training, and that's why it's really important for all three if you're going to do the whole entire triathlon on your own. So when you do the swimming, that really helps your lung capacity. That helps your biking. That helps you get up those hills when you're feeling like, I can't get up. So that's what's really important. The training is really important, and the bricks are really important because it's back-to-back exercises to help your body get used to that endurance.
After cycling, you know, 18 miles for some, what does your body feel like? Is it sore? I mean,
not only are you sore and tired from the bike ride, but you have to hop off that bike and then get your legs running.
Yeah, so I mean, after the swim, I mean, you definitely feel sore from the shoulders because you really, you know, when we stress out, we tense up in our shoulders and our neck area. And so when they're basically finishing the swim, then what ends up happening is you go on your bike and you kind of almost feel like you're gripping your handlebars like really tight, but you kind of have to relax. You really have to get used to just relaxing, and that's why the practice and the training is really important. A lot of training, a lot of practice, because that way it relaxes you and it becomes secondary. So it becomes a lot easier, and then your legs have to transition as well with the muscles.
Right, and our own Selena Quintana, she just came up right now. She did the swimming portion, and she was pretty emotional, and she said she was so proud.
You get emotional. You do. I have to admit, I get emotional. No matter how many times I do triathlons or anything, I get emotional because it's just like, oh my gosh, I did this, you know, and no matter how many times you do it, it's just really emotional for you. It's a great accomplishment. It really is.
All right, we're going to go ahead and head out to Tatiana Favela. She's out at the bike route right now.
Hey guys, well again, we're here in the midpoint of the cycling route off of Alabama Street. Now we've seen some women kind of struggle between it, but again, like I said earlier, the motivation and the communication that is on this route, it's extremely inspiring. some of the women who have, got off their bike to walk quite the distance. There are others passing by them, telling them that they got this, that they can push it through. And that's what this is all about. It's not about beating the other or, racing. It is a competition against yourself, like Monica was saying earlier. Again, you're going to see all these cyclists continue to make their way up. And again, you can tell that many of them have been working hard for this, training for this. And the great thing about this is that once they're going downhill, they don't really necessarily have to push it hard, but at the same time, we're seeing so many women not giving any less. They are continuing to cycle, push through downhill, even though it's an easier route. But again, this is an extremely difficult route, especially uphill. From what we can see as far as these women coming up, again, some are struggling, but others are at least motivating the others, pushing through, telling them that they got this and that they can do it. That's what it's all about out here. And as we wait for Susie to come back down, when she was making her way up, she had all smiles, but again, she was powering through this, not giving up. And that's, again, this is why we're out here. This is why we're out here supporting these women come up through this route. It's no easy task. You can see a lot of them continuing to make their way up here. So as far as they can be able to continue pushing their way uphill, do that turnaround and come back down, we'll be out here supporting them, cheering them on, and we'll be out here at this midpoint. We'll go ahead and send it back to you all at the desk.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. So I want to talk back about Heartbreaker Hill.
Yes.
You said when you're going up that hill, it feels like forever.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But you know what? It's only maybe like 2 minutes long.
And it feels like
But
20.
that's an eternity. It's like that joke that people say, a minute doesn't sound like a long time until you're on the treadmill. That's probably what they're feeling going up that 2 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's probably only, I think, like a third of a mile when you're going up that hill. But truly, it's just about training, and that's why with the girls that I was training this year, all we did was just we kept doing the loops around that and just kept starting from the bottom and going back up. And so it's really important to just continue to train on that.
Yeah, I want to give a few statistics. So this year we have more than 400 women participating in this triathlon, which is an increase from last year. So it seems to be growing every year.
And it started at 350.
Yeah,
so
and of that 400, we have more than 40% who are first timers.
Yes.
That's a big number.
Yes, that is. That's a great, I mean, that's huge because that just shows that more and more women are getting inspired from each other. And they're, saying, you know what, I can do this too. It's exciting.
They can conquer Heartbreaker Hill. Right?
They can. Anybody can. It's just practice,
Don't
practice,
be
practice.
afraid.
Don't be afraid. Just don't think you can do it the first day if you didn't do any training. And then just say, okay, I'm going to do it, and I didn't train it. You've got to train it. It's really important.
All right, let's head over to Stephanie Shields. She is at Heartbreaker Hill.
So more cyclists are actually coming in. You could see them here. They're cheering for them. And I actually already saw a few of the contestants coming in a second time, and that means they are doing the 18-mile route. So that's their second time coming up Heartbreak Hill. You could see, the supporters are out here. They're cheering them on. Some even have signs as they're cheering on these cyclists. And remember, they have no help from anybody. So if their bike breaks down, they get a flat tire or something, they have to, stop and fix it on their own. But these women, they've been training, they've been prepared for this, and they also know how to do that as well. It's been a little bit more than an hour, so that first contestant that we saw come through again, she's covering a lot of ground in a pretty good amount of time. And that's something that we've been seeing. A lot of these women, they're not competing against each other but themselves. It's all for time. And this hill here, like you could see, some are coming in really fast and they're powering through, and some are taking, they're really climbing over that. Like, if you just take a look at that, I mean, I can't even imagine how difficult that is. I bet they're definitely going to feel that tomorrow. And as you can see, there's a lot of support. They're telling each other, like, you got this, ladies, push through. So that's one of the best things I've seen out here, is the support that not only is out here from, spectators, families, and friends, but within the cyclists who are competing as well. They're telling each other that they got this, and it's just something amazing to watch. So back to you for now.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. I want to go over the age groups real quick. The biggest age group here, 30 to 39, has 35%. And also race director Gabby Gallegos, I was talking to her earlier this week, she says those are the most competitive. So it's not the young competitors. Yeah.
Yes, no, definitely. You know, the thing is, like with the age groups, it's really awesome to see, like, and I'm not saying they're 30-year-old women are older.
Hey.
No. But, you know, a lot of times people think it's just a sport for the young. It's not. It's truly not. It's really a great sport for any age. And I know a lot of women that are my age. I just celebrated my third quinceañera, so I'm not going to say how old I am. But yes, there's a lot of women out there. I've seen women that are 75 years old beat me, and I've seen them. I'm going, oh my gosh, I gotta keep up with her. There's the Iron Nun out there that's amazing, and she's like in her 80s competing in Ironmans in Kona.
Oh my gosh!
So there's
wow.
amazing women out there that can do this, and that they are doing it.
And some women can actually finish this race very quickly. The records are actually were set back in 2015. That sprint was finished in hour and 19 minutes. So this woman, her name is Maya Paris. She completed the 300-yard swim, 18 miles, and running 3 miles in
the
less
longer
than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very impressive.
Yes, so it is. I mean, usually, I mean, you want to always, like, just so you can kind of see how you do each year, you know, you kind of say, okay, you know, if I did this, then I got to maybe shorten that, and maybe, you know, I've gotten faster on the bike, or I've gotten faster in my swim or my run. And even your run pace, you know, a lot of times you kind of got to gauge everything. So there's a lot of, you know, kind of tracking of everything and to see how your progress is going. But it's all about competing against your time. For me, I just looked at my times. I didn't look at anybody else's. I just wanted to know where I was at. And if I could beat my own record, awesome. You know, so that's what it's all about.
And we're starting to see our first finishers right now.
On the bike route?
Yes, on the bike route.
Okay.
And then they're going to go into the running right now. But necessarily, just because somebody finishes first doesn't mean they're the winner of the Mighty Mujer, right?
Yeah. So it just depends. Like, I mean, for example, right now we're in the sprint mode, right? So all the women are starting to transition. So it just depends. I mean, they could totally like it on the run and just kind of like start breaking down. Who knows? I mean, that could be maybe their weakest suit. So maybe somebody that's a really strong runner can come by and just pass them through and then really pick up the pace on the run. So it just depends where they're at in terms of that. I mean, the first swimmer it could potentially not be the first finisher, you know. So that could happen where she could have really done well on the swim, but then maybe the bike not so much, but then probably could pick up the pace in the run. So a lot of times you got to figure out where it is that you can make up that time. And that's why it's really important, even coming down Alabama and down the downhills, to make sure that you kind of still continue. That's where you can make up time.
You have to know your own pacing and where you can pick it up.
Yeah, so you can figure out how you can pace yourself, but then pick up the time wherever your weakness is at.
All right. We have Tatiana Favela. She's back out there on the cycling route. Let's pass it over to her.
Hey guys, we're at the midpoint on Alabama Street for the cyclists coming through this uphill on Alabama. And I actually have someone with me. Her name is Stephanie, and she's out here supporting her friend who is currently cycling. Go ahead and show us that awesome picture that you have for her. You have the bell waiting for her to come down. Tell us why you're out here supporting her and why it's important for her to see you and have that support.
I'm really excited to be out here because I've seen her train. She's worked so hard, just like all these other ladies out here. It's a very empowering event. I'm out here for the third time supporting her, and I'm excited. She looks like a strong competitor out here today.
Awesome. And go ahead and talk about what you've seen as far as how hard that she's been training and how long she's been training for this.
Sure, she works full time as I do, and I see her every day just about going out there, hitting the pool, hitting the gym, running stadiums, just nonstop training. I try to feed her right.
Okay. Awesome. And you said that this was your third time out here supporting. Is this her third time out on doing the triathlon?
Yes, she did the super sprint first time, now then the sprint, and then skipped last year, and now back on sprint. So I'm really proud of her.
Great. And just go ahead and talk about, again, how important it is for you to show your support. There's many women out here battling through this, powering through it. Of course, talk about how important that is for you to be out here showing that support.
Alabama, especially this street, is super steep, but it's an incline that's steady, and I think the women really need support because their lungs are burning, the legs are burning right now. Also over there by Cardiac Hill, They need a lot of support because it's tough. This is the toughest course out here for triathletes in the whole city, and it's an all-female race, so it's incredible what they're doing.
Awesome. Well, it's incredible to see you out here. There are not many supporters out here, but of course we have Stephanie here with her sign, her dumbbell. She's cheering everyone on. So again, we thank you for showing your support, and we'll go ahead and send it back to you all out there at the desk.
All right, Stephanie, we're getting some glimpses of the runners right now. So they're, again, the sprint running 3 miles, super sprint running 2 miles. And we just saw some little girls carrying pom-poms, I guess their dad holding a sign. So they're getting ready.
Yes, they look so cute. It's so awesome to have your family out here. I know my sister Lorena came out. She came from DC one year, and she was out here, and she knows that running is not my strongest suit. So she's out there. She's like, I'm going to follow you, sissy, if you don't keep going. And I'm like, okay, I'm going, you know. So it's really awesome to have your family. I know that one year we parked an RV along the route, and that was like our, you know, Vetuki Central, and everybody was there. They were even giving water to the girls along the route. So my family, our friends were all there, our spouses and boyfriends were all there, and everybody just cheered us on. So it's really awesome to have your family out here. I had an uncle show up that I would have never thought showed up at the finish line and hugged me. I had friends come out from work. So it's really cool to have everybody just really support you.
I gotta ask you, okay, when you see that big finish sign,
that's the same thing I was thinking, because we're going to see the first runners coming through.
Yes. What are you feeling at that
point? It's so exciting. Like, at the like for example, last year, my friend Nancy, she was like, just sprint it, and just keep, you know, yelling at me to go. And I just started running. And for me, I'm just kind of like so nervous to run so fast because that's not, again, my strongest suit. But I literally was just running, and you're just like, yeah, you're going, you know. So you really just get so excited. It just gets your heart pumping, and then at that moment, you just start feeling the tears, just like, yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what's your first one or your 5th one or your 20th one, you just still get a little emotional.
Now, when you're almost there, do you get a boost of energy, or how does that feel?
That one last push.
Yes, it's kind of like a shot of adrenaline, and you're like, oh my gosh, I did this. It's so exciting. And then all of a sudden, like, you're like, just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. I finally finished this. And then you go home and you conk out for like hours. So you just, you know what I mean? It's just a really great feeling.
You know, I was watching videos of the finishers last year, and they're raising their hands. I mean, they look actually really energized.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Like all of a sudden your energy pops back in, and you're like, I'm going to finish, you know? So it's the light at the end of the tunnel once you see that big sign. And it's just amazing because you see everybody cheering you on. Family or even people that are not. I mean, I saw coworkers that I didn't even know that were out here, and they were just hugging you and just making you feel so awesome about it. So it's really cool.
People cheering there.
Yes.
Yeah, and you need all the motivation and the cheering that you can get. Let's send it over to Stephanie on Heartbreak Hill, or some people are calling it Cardiac Hill,
Heart Attack
Hill. Stephanie, what are you seeing out there?
I'm actually seeing a lot of people out here. They're cheering, and things are actually getting a lot louder as we're seeing more cyclists come up. I've seen quite a few that have already done their 2nd round, so that means their 2nd trip over Heartbreak Hill. And you know, the 2nd time around, they're coming up with, like, they know that they did this already, but they're so glad to just get over and have it over with and just go straight downhill from there. So you can see there's a lot of people out here. They're cheering. Things are getting a lot louder, like I said. There's more people out here now than there was earlier. There's people with signs. I think one of them said something like, you thought this was a good idea 4 months ago. So they're trying to offer some comic relief to these cyclists as they're coming up. And you know, there's a group of people over here that right where that peak is, cyclists are coming up and they're telling them, go, go, go. So it's really giving them that extra push, that extra motivation to get up that, especially because this is the hardest part right here. That's what a lot of them are telling me, that this is the hardest part of the race. So you can see them, a lot of them are just breezing right through it because, you know, this is their 2nd time. They know what to get through, but look at that. That's awesome right there as they're getting up through that. So we still have an eye out for our KTSM 9 News reporter, Susie Castillo. She's doing the 18-mile portion, so that means she's going to have to be doing this part twice. So we're keeping an eye out for her, and we'll keep you guys updated as we see her and more cyclists come through. Back to you guys.
A lot of dads pushing like their kids on the stroller and everything,
cheering for moms.
Yeah, and you know what? As a mom, like I know, like everything is for your child. You're dedicated to your child, so I can only imagine how good it feels to do something for yourself, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's incredible just to see these moms and dads out here and everything, but yeah, it's so inspirational to see the moms out here because I know that a lot of daughters are starting to, ride with them, and sometimes you see on the routes like the mom and the daughter riding. So it's really cool to see that, and it's really inspirational for them, and I think it's a great role model for them, as future might.
And a great bonding moment as well, because you're both going through something that's very difficult.
Yeah,
you're there for each other.
Yes, and that's really cool because I feel like these sports, all three of them, really have a bonding between the athletes. Even just road biking, when you go on those long rides and everything, you just create a lot of great bonds, and so just through the training and stuff, the women will create a lot of them.
And we talked to you earlier this week. We had a story on you, and you said something like, a lot of people, women, have issues at work, at home, whatever. Yeah. But this is like an outlet. They're free. They feel
it's stress reliever.
Yeah,
it's wonderful therapy. I call it my therapy. It is. It truly is. This event, all three events, but mostly about the cycling. I really think that it creates a lot of trust, a lot of bonding with each other, because when you're on the road together, you have to trust each other a lot, and that's what's really important too when you're out riding with people. The safety, there's a lot of elements to consider, and so just to have that, just to do it, like for me, when I have a stressful day or a stressful week, I want to go out on my bike. That's all I want to do, and I come back and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to tackle on the world.
You have a clear mind afterwards.
Absolutely. You're outside. You're one with nature. I know it sounds kind of corny, but it truly is.
Hey, fresh air never hurt anyone.
No, it doesn't. And, I was out of town this whole week, and I was going nuts because I was in a classroom all week long, and I had no access to going outside to ride my bike. And so I literally went swimming out at the hotel pool, and I did my 300. And it was windy, and lawn chairs were going in the pool, and I still went and swam. So it's just to do something is just get out there and exercise, no matter what it is, how long or how little. But it's just great to embrace that.
We did a story earlier with Erica, and she said she was doing this in honor of her mom who passed away.
Yes.
And you started doing this as well in honor of your dad.
Yes, absolutely. My dad was, he raised us on sports. He raised us, in a bike shop. And I can say that was the coolest way to be raised as a child, and till this day I still help my mom run it. And my mom too is she's a huge fan as well. So for her, she's just like, you can do this, you can do this. And after my dad died, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to get on the bike a little bit more, and I did. And some days I was crying, and I was just thinking of him, but I could hear him just going, come on, baby, in his little raspy voice. And it's great therapy for women. I was training a breast cancer survivor this year, Miss Cindy, and she has been doing amazing. She's like, this has just pushed me to another limit. And she's, sometimes, there's tears involved when we're talking, and I said, you know what, just do it for yourself. Just get out there and finish it. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. Just do it.
And that's what we hear from a lot of these women. They say, I'm doing this for myself because I want to prove to myself that I can do it.
Yes, absolutely. And you don't realize how strong or how mighty you really are to do stuff like this, and how your body can do so many, just push yourself through it. And these women have the tenacity, they have the drive, the power, and once they get that encouragement to do it, they're good. They'll do it. I had a friend last year that she did it for the first time, and she's already done the Tucson one. I think she's going to do Tucson again. She's here again for this year's, and I think she's going to go again to probably Austin or Tucson again.
Yeah, which is another great thing about Mighty Mujer. It has since expanded out of El Paso.
Yes.
We are now seeing it,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, in Tucson, Austin, and Miami.
Yes.
So a lot of women from across the country are getting to participate in this.
Absolutely.
And I spoke to Gabby Gallegos again, the race director, and she said that a lot of people are, I guess it's appealing because it's so diverse. Because you don't have to be a top athlete.
Yes.
Again, like you said, a lot of moms, a lot of
different age
first timers.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm not like, you know, Miss Triathlon or anything like that, but you know what? It's a great opportunity to dip your foot in the pool, to get used to it and to really understand what it's all about. So it's a great event just to do something, have fun, get some new friends, old friends, connect with old friends. I mean, it's really cool.
And do you think doing a triathlon helps you expand, like you never maybe thought that you would be swimming or cycling? Or there was one woman on the Facebook of Mighty Mujer. I saw her. Her name was Sandra Pineda. I have to mention her name because she's 58 years old. She said she had done cycling, never swam, never ran in her life.
Yeah.
And she took before and after pictures in her tri-suit, and she looked like amazing.
Yeah.
So this kind of gives you exposure to other sports.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but like, you know, you lose weight during the process, which is always a good thing. Whether you have to or not, you feel great, you sleep well at night because you've exercised so well. And not only that, but you know, it takes you out of your comfort zone to what you're normally used to. And so if you're not used to swimming or if you're not used to biking, it really it proves otherwise. Yeah, for sure.
And like you said, I mean, you get in shape. Like I said, I lost a couple pounds, and now I can run after my son. You know, he's 1 year old, and it gives you more energy. You feel good. You look good.
Oh yeah, it gets you ready for bikini season.
Well, I don't know about that.
Joining us at the desk now is Gabby Gallegos, the race director. Thank you for being here, Gabby, and thank you for having us here again.
Oh, this is fantastic.
We are having so much fun. We're seeing the women already going to the running portion, which is very exciting because we're going to see them coming down the finish line very soon.
Yes, we're going to see them coming very soon. We actually have our first finisher who's being led by one of our volunteers on a bike to make sure that she knows the course. So when we see a bike behind us, that's going to be our first finisher.
Right. Okay. So that should be coming here very soon. We want to talk more about Mighty Mujer and how much it has grown over the years and what can we expect for the future?
So we are expanding. Last year we added Tucson. So there was a Mighty Mujer Tucson last October. We have Miami coming up on May 11th, and we added Austin for June 9th, and then we'll have Tucson again in October. So this year we've got 4 Mighty Mujer triathlons. Started in El Paso, and it was such a great thing for the women here that we thought it could be, you know, a transformational experience for women in other places.
And what kind of feedback have you gotten from those other cities?
You know, they're super excited. You know, there used to be women's races in different areas that some of them have continued, some of them haven't, but this has kind of such an empowering identity to it that I think a lot of women connect with that it's, you know, it's fun, it's exciting, it's still challenging, and it's really a place where they can find community.
One thing you told me earlier this week, Abby, is that this is more of a Wonder Woman than Princess race.
Yes.
And that stuck with me because I love that. I love Wonder Woman. But do you think that's also what draws people to this race? Is that what makes it different from others?
I think it is. I mean, Mighty Mujer, the name of it just by itself is very inclusive and very open to all kinds of different women. And the idea is that it's not easier because it's for women. It's not, you know, smaller or anything less than. It's actually very empowering for women who want to get involved in the sport of triathlon.
No offense to men out there, but I'm sure there's probably some men out there who can't do what these women are doing today.
Well, you know, it's funny. There's a lot of men who, you know, train with their friends or their spouses or their friends, and they do the course, and so they come out and cheer, and they're like, it's a really tough bike course.
Yeah,
like, we want to be there for them.
And you were saying, you know, that you're getting a lot of exposure all over the U.S. that people, I guess, watch from everywhere.
We're
right?
actually having watch parties for today's race.
We are. So I know in Miami they're having a watch party, and you know, I was just inside with ladies who were telling me that they had sent it to friends and family in other places, and they were getting them commenting that, you know, they were so excited that they could watch them from afar.
And what I love is that we had our own KTSM team this year. So Selena Quintana, she came out and she said, I am so proud of these ladies. Like, this is hard. So is that what you hear from the women when they complete
You know,
this?
there are women who didn't know how to swim, who learned how to swim just for this event, and you know, that's a huge milestone. There are others who really never thought of themselves as athletic or being able to do anything active, who now have kind of changed their lifestyle and been able to do that. So I think it's really transformed a lot of great women.
There was one interview where you were shaking your head that they were like, oh, well, they say that they'll never come back again because this was too hard. But Amy, you were saying,
oh, they will.
They will come
So
back.
this becomes a little bit of an addiction, but in a good way,
Yes.
because you want to come back, and once you complete it, you're like, wow, I did it. Let's see what else I can do.
A lifestyle.
Yes. Yes.
We want to be, and we want people to be active. You know, in El Paso, we've had a lot of challenges with things like diabetes and obesity. And people who just aren't as active as maybe they should have been. And this is offering one more opportunity to set a goal, work towards it, and then really create that sense of active living with their friends, family. It carries over.
Right, and training for something like this, you have to lead a healthy lifestyle. You can't, be indulging in all those bad things we like. So it's great. They start eating healthier, they're more active, and it also gets everybody involved. You talked about training with their husbands, their significant others, their kids get really into it too.
So we've seen people who started out doing it, and maybe just the mom was doing it, and then their kids started asking, can we go for a bike ride on Saturday? And so that really became part of their lifestyle. We have multiple races each year, so Mighty Mujer is kicking off our season, but we offer relays at, for example, Mission Valley Duathlon, where we've had kids as young as 5 doing the running portion with their, maybe their dad who's doing the biking portion. And it's a way for everybody to get involved.
What I love is what you say, Amy, that you started as a participant and you coach and you want to pay it forward because everybody on the route has helped you out so much.
Yes,
so Amy paying it forward. Do you see that for your participants, that they help each other and all that?
I do. I feel like one participant is often the gateway to all of their friends. So they bring people along, and they might have a friend or coworker who says, well, I could never do that, and they're like, well, you know what, come for a run with me and let's see. And then once they kind of see somebody who they relate to, who they know has been able to do this and who is excited about it, it seems much more accessible and much more exciting to them, and then they can do it together. So it turns into, there's groups of women who are training all over town together leading up to Mighty Mujer, and it's really become a fun thing.
And for a lot of women who are watching this today, they may get inspired and join next year. And I know for a fact, my morning co-anchor Sandra, her sister Susie is doing the triathlon this year, and she's doing it because she watched us last year and said, that's cool, I can do that.
Well, we've seen about a 20% increase in participation, and I think part of that is the relays, right? Because we open that up if you could just do the swim, the bike, or the run. And I'm hoping that that's something that opens the door for women who might think, well, I can't do all of it, and then they come and see and they're like, oh, I actually probably could, and so maybe next year. So that's what we're hoping the relays do as well.
And even us seeing our own colleagues, seeing Selena and Susie.
I'm excited to see Susie, how she does on that bike ride. She was a little nervous about it.
Remember this week, she thought she was doing just the 9 miles, and then you broke it to her. You broke the news.
It's 18. It was fantastic when she realized that she was going to have to do that bike course twice.
I think she's going to call in on Monday. She won't be able to move.
She might. At least she'll want a little pampering.
Yeah. Well, the girls they've decided that they're going to do it next year, right, girls?
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, when do you
I'm
start?
volunteering them, that's why.
When do you start training? Like, looking forward to next year, when is the start of everything? Yeah.
So, depending on what kind of shape you're in, if you have to do something like learn how to swim, that's a little bit different than if you just kind of need to get back into running, or something like that.
So I need to learn how to swim. So
okay.
So
I would say start in January.
November, December, even December.
November, December, January.
December's always a bad month because of the holidays, but still, I mean, it tells whether or not you're going to commit to it.
Right.
So that's a good thing, but it's good to learn how to swim first, for sure. Yeah.
Well, and for women who are in reasonably good shape already, you've mentioned that you already run. It's something that you're just building endurance. So that might just be 6 weeks of building your endurance so that you're able to keep on going for an hour to 2 hours.
And Mighty Mujer also offers where many of the first-time participants can actually sign up to be picked for a coaching session.
Yes. So we had a training group this year with one of our local coaches who trained 15 women who had never done a triathlon before. So we have a lot of those women who are here. They went swimming together once a week. They started riding together. They had a social last week. So they've really bonded over this.
So you think they're going to become friends, like, meet up?
We'll see, but it seems like they already have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, we are getting word that our first finisher is actually coming through.
There we go.
Let's see, where is she? You can see everybody like kind of just gathering over here.
You see that police
There we go, there we go. There she comes.
That's Isabel Zamora.
She's still running, man.
Yep.
She's running hard there.
And there we go, our first finisher.
She is.
So you said, what was her name?
Isabel Zamora.
Isabel Zamora. So what do you know about her?
So she is just a tremendous athlete. She has been on the local scene for a while. She also does a lot of Spartan races. She, I believe, ran cross country in college, if I'm correct. And she's really turned triathlon into her life and her profession. She's also a coach.
Yeah, she looks like she knows what she's doing. She ran through that finish line like, I got this. And so
she is a runner for sure.
She did the sprint, so she did the long version of everything. She ran the 3 miles. She's our first finisher, so it's very exciting, which means soon we'll start seeing the rest of our racers.
Absolutely. But again, Gabby, explain to us, the first finisher doesn't necessarily mean that they're in first place, right?
Right, and it can be a little confusing because we have what we call a time trial start. So every 10 seconds, another woman got into the water. So you could have a very fast swimmer who maybe is not as fast a cyclist or runner. So they could be passed by 15 women. I think Isabel was maybe 15th or 20th into the water. So she started, a few minutes behind where everybody else started. So that means she gained a lot of time on that. So that's why, there could be somebody who was a slower swimmer who then gained a lot of ground, and you never know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that a lot of times too, wherever your stronger sport is, that's where you can make up your time during the triathlon, because sometimes it's not always the first person in the pool, it's the first person at the finish line for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you think she's feeling right now?
She looked like she was excited.
We need to get her over here. We just saw another woman pass the finish line now, so this is the part where we get to see those smiles. Here we go, those cheers.
And you feel like you got to run faster too.
And this woman passing right now, you see there's somebody running alongside her.
And of course,
look
you're
at the
oh, the
Superman.
little boy with the
pom-poms.
See, it gets everybody excited.
It
gets the whole family excited.
It does. And so as we have more finishers, you're going to see more and more families at that finish line.
Yes.
People made signs. They're up at the transition area right now, and they've been coming back down as people are finishing.
Yes, absolutely. Now they and your family cries because they're so excited, and
because they've seen you, they've seen the work that these women have put into the training and the efforts, and so very exciting moments as they cross that finish line.
I think they get more excited. Like my mom says, I just get more excited now because you'll be home a little bit more. But it's just exciting to see like everybody out there supporting you and just cheering you on. And you can hear one voice, just somebody that you know out of all the crowd. For some reason, I've heard. Like when I get in the pool, I've heard that one voice out there, my sister or a friend of mine, and they're cheering me on, and I can hear them through all those people, and you're like, okay, I gotta focus.
And that's all the motivation you need.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You can hear more people cheering. And as you mentioned, Ali, they are running alongside of them at the finish line.
You have some people who are not participating.
So they're not supposed to do that. So
are they allowed to run on the other side of the ribbons?
They can run on the outside, but yes, only the finisher is supposed to cross that finish line.
Yes. Okay. All right, we're going to head over again to Heartbreak Hill. Our Stephanie Shields is out there with more.
More cyclists are coming up the hill now. The sun is out now, so it's starting to feel a little bit warmer, which might feel nice to some of these cyclists, but we are seeing a lot of support out here, and we actually have another spectator with us here, Isaac, to talk about that. Isaac, can you tell me, who were you out here supporting?
Me and my friend were out here supporting Anna Sanchez, Marianne, Erica Cotto, and Rianne. Those are one of our friends. We have some friends coming from Up and Running, so they're just participating in this event, so we thought we'd show support, but yeah.
Great. I mean, that's awesome. You've been out here for quite some time, and you're right there where the peak is. So can you tell me, what have you been seeing as people are coming up?
A lot of struggling. I mean, hills are hard, especially on a bike with the wheels. I do running events, so running's not that hard compared to biking. I mean, you got to push 2 big wheels up. But yeah, for the most part, just struggling. But right when they get up here to the top, just cruise it down. So I mean, yeah, they get a breather. But yeah, for the most part, I'm pretty sure it's hard.
It is hard. It looks like it is really hard, but there's a lot of support out here, especially right where you guys are. Can you talk to me about the support and the things you're seeing on that side?
Well, I know most people don't really have support, so when we hear people cheering for us or whatever, I mean, it gives us that push to keep going. So I mean, I love it. We went to the swimming first, and then now we're here with the cycling, so getting ready to go to the running.
Running, yeah. And, you know, does this kind of motivate you to do this race yourself, to do any triathlon, biking, you know, to just get active and do some kind of competition?
I'm actually going to try and train to do a triathlon myself. I might start with the biathlon first, just running and biking, but I think swimming might be all right. I did see one in Arizona, so it was pretty fun, but yeah, I'll be trying to train for that, see if coach can help me.
And, you know, what's something that you would just say to all these women today that are out here, you know, once they're done with everything, what's something that you would want them to know?
Good job, they finished. I mean, since I haven't done one at all, I know it's hard based off the faces that I see. Yeah, just great job. Keep going, do more, stay healthy.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So, you know, like Isaac said, it is a lot. It's a struggle. It's hard, and we're seeing more and more come up. And you know, some are even having to get off the bike and kind of walk it up, but that's fine. They get back on and they go through. So, you know, we'll keep you updated as we see more. For now, back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. And we took off our jackets. It's getting a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better.
It's not as chilly as it was. But these women, I mean, they brave the elements, first of all.
Yes.
And they're now finishing.
Today is unusually cold, so.
Yeah, we're actually below our average temperatures.
Yes, it feels a little chilly today, and I'm sure they're still probably pounding through, because I see all these women running in their tri-suits, and they're just like going, so that's good. But you know, you do get a little chilly, especially on the bike, but it's okay. They got this.
You know, Stephanie mentioned that some participants have had to get off their bikes for a little bit,
walk it a little bit,
but that's okay, right?
That's okay.
Yeah,
it is okay if you have to stop in the pool, if you have to stop on your bike. You know what you're feeling. You got to stop. You know, for safety purposes too, you know, but if they have to stop and walk up the hill, that's okay. They're going to finish it. So I know that there's plenty of times where we were training and some of the girls would say, I can't do it. I'm like, come on, let's just keep practicing. Let's just keep doing it. So further and further, you kind of see their pace getting up a little bit further, and then they walk off. And that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable.
Because aside from this being physically challenging, it's very mentally challenging as well. It's a mind game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's why we kind of had these little talks along the way, just to kind of help them mentally get into that mode, because it can take a toll on you mentally, and they always say the mental always supersedes the physical, and so that's why we have those talks.
Yeah, because when you're feeling tired and you want to stop, you can tell yourself, no, don't stop, you're okay, you're going to be okay, you have to push through it.
Exactly. And some of the women were saying the other day when we were training, I said, so what's going to motivate you guys? Because I was really trying to peel those layers, and I said, you know, what's going to motivate you guys? And one girl said, you know what, when I ride with people I don't know, or I'm just riding and I see other people riding in front of me and I'm going, oh heck no, I'm gonna go, I gotta keep up with them, you know, if I see them pass me along the route and stuff. So sometimes it's just somebody else riding next to them and they don't even know them. You might be motivating somebody else.
Yeah, I feel like that's how I am whenever I go to the gym and I see other people doing more than what I'm doing.
Yeah, you want to step it up a little.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh man, they're younger than me, I gotta keep going.
Yeah,
you know? So for sure.
What do you have to say to someone who's watching this at home? Okay,
yes.
like kind of like me,
and they're considering,
they want to do it, but they're like, oh, I'm kind of nervous. What advice would you have for them?
Do it.
Just do it.
That's it.
No, you know what? Just be prepared. Just get ready. Give yourself enough time. Don't try to do it at the last minute. Really give yourself enough time to train, so that when you get used to it, you start building your body. You start feeling the endurance build up. So give yourself time, and if there's like Gabby had said, you know, if you have to learn how to swim or you have to learn how to bike, don't just think you can wing it. You can't wing it, but definitely give yourself some time to learn the 3 sports and learn them. I mean, you don't have to be in the Olympics. You don't have to have an Olympic skill, but it's just about giving yourself some time to start building that endurance.
And you can even start off in the relay portion.
Yes.
Again, Gabby's saying, you know, that's a gateway.
Test it out.
And also,
if
someone maybe has some kind of injury where they can't maybe do the running.
Correct.
Just start off with one.
Yeah, because, you know, just being out here alone is kind of overwhelming for some of the folks, but that's okay. That's why you come out, you cheer people on, you get used to it, you see the crowds, and it really kind of gets you, you know, inspired. And you're like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, you know. And that's what you got to do. And start talking to people, you know, start working out with some people that have already done it and partner with them so that way they can help you out. And it's you know, it's not a matter of like, oh, I got to go get a coach and I got to pay all this money. It's not about that. It's just about making sure that you can do it. Make sure you check with your physician first. Just get a good health physical, you know, overall physical to make sure you're healthy enough to do it. And the other thing too is just know what you can do and work through it. I mean, I know I had some medical issues during the many years I've done it, and it wasn't because of hurting myself. It was just medical issues I had, and I learned to work around them. So that's what women need to understand is you can work around them. Don't feel like, oh, I have this, so I can't do it. No, if you can work around it, do it. It's all about mental versus your physical. So, and a lot of people think, oh, I got to lose weight so I can look good in my tri-suit. No,
don't worry about that. No
one's
paying attention to that.
Nobody's not even paying attention to that. Everybody's just, you know, out there to cheer you on. And it's just about getting out there and doing it. And it's your health. You only have one chance. It's one life, one chance at health.
Yeah. And if you want to do it for the first time, start training with plenty of time before the race. You want to make sure that you don't get injured.
Exactly.
And that you're training the right way and safely.
Yes. Exactly. And that was the one thing I was going to say is that to give yourself enough time, but you also don't want to overwhelm yourself where you injure yourself. And that's what's really important is to really minimize having that happen during your training. As long as you train right, your nutrition's right, everything is all in place, and you follow your schedule or whatever it is that you're doing, that's a way to avoid injuries. Stretching is really important. Incorporating some yoga is really important because that helps a lot with the muscles, because if not, you tighten them up, you get cramps. Hydrating is really important through diet. You know, just making sure that you're not eating, you know, unhealthy stuff, or I'm going to go have a hamburger now that I went and trained, you know, did my bike and my swim. You know, if
so
you're
no hamburgers ever?
No, you can't.
On the weekends.
Once in a while.
Once in a while. But you don't definitely want to have that like the night before, you know, the race. Last night the girls had to carb up and have all their stuff in by 6 o'clock, no later than that, because you don't want to have it late, you know, because when you eat dinner late, you know what happens the next day. You're like, you know, you just feel like this big sloth. So it's really important to make sure your diet is key, because you'll feel it. And I could tell the girls, like, I know you've been eating bad or you're not hydrating. And like, how do you know? I'm like, because I can hear you breathing really hard, you know, unusually hard. So you can tell when, I mean, my coach would call me out too and tell me he knew when I wasn't hydrating enough or I wasn't taking care of my asthma. And, you know, that's one of my challenges is having asthma, and it's sports-induced asthma. So for me, I've learned to control it and learned how to do it. So a lot of people get really, they shy away from things like that could potentially be a hindrance to them to compete. But it's not. It's workable. You just got to know how to work with it.
Right. You mentioned stretching. After these women finish the triathlon today, they are going to be very sore. They have used every single muscle in their body today.
Yes.
What do you recommend they do afterwards to recover, that recovery process?
Yes.
What do they do?
So I think they have a massage therapist out here. Get a great massage and a stretch. You feel actually a lot of tightness. You will feel the soreness. You probably shouldn't feel soreness by now, especially if you're training, but you will feel a lot of things that you didn't feel during the training process that are like, oh, that's really amplified. But stretching is really important. So afterward, I think they have some folks out here from some local spas and some massage physical therapists and all that, and they stretch you out. That's really important. That's really key before and after your exercises to minimize injury.
So coming out of this, I mean, do you just want to go to sleep, or do you have like the energy?
Too
yeah,
you go home and celebrate. A lot of women are having after parties after this.
Well, so yes.
Who's inviting us to one?
I know. So that's why I always like, wait, where are you guys going to go? No, that's a great thing. You got to have a celebration, right? And so one thing we normally do that we've done in the past is like after we're like, okay, I'm gonna go home and take a shower, or I'm gonna take a nap, and you nap for like, you know, a couple hours, 4 hours, whatever, and then you say, okay, let's all go here at night, you know, and maybe celebrate at night or something, or go to somebody's house. And
now you can indulge in your cheeseburger.
Now you can indulge in whatever you want. But that's the great thing, is the celebration afterward. A lot of times, like there's been times where like my adrenaline's still going, so I'm like, hey, let's go have breakfast and let's go do this, and right in the middle of the meal, I'm like, oh,
just
I'm really
kind of
tired.
crash.
Yeah, exactly. You just crash. So get some rest afterward, and then you can go and celebrate for sure.
All right, we're seeing some more finishers come through. And again, we're seeing that power. They're just coming through there like nothing.
And that sign makes you run faster or something.
Yeah, because you just want to get past it and be done.
And then not only that, if you knew that you like had some time to make up, that's also another way to kind of make up a few more seconds.
Yeah, every second counts.
Yeah, because like Gabby was saying, like not always is it just the first person that gets out, but you know, it's all your collective time.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you'll find out who did well, like as far as the times and stuff, or who's leading.
All right. We still have some cyclists out there, so we're going to head over to Heartbreak Hill. Stephanie Shields, she joins us there now.
So as more cyclists are coming in, I'm learning that there's more than to this than it's just a physical thing. You know, there's a lot of stories behind these racers. So here with me, I have Christine to tell me about that. Christine, can you tell me who you're here supporting?
Sure, we're supporting our Executive Women Lion Sisters, Miriam Gandy and Cindy Alvara.
And can you tell me, you know, what is their story behind this? Why did they decide to do this?
Well, Cindy's a breast cancer survivor, and Miriam's just there to support her on the race. So we're super excited and going to be cheering them on here.
So like you said, she's a breast cancer survivor. That's already one, you know, great challenge to overcome.
Right.
So what does this mean to her? What does she tell you about that?
Well, it's just, you know, just getting past, she had a long journey with the breast cancer, so she wanted to just make sure that she can show others that what she's already gone through, she can still go ahead and compete.
Wow.
So we're super excited for her.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. You know, you're out here, I think you said she still has some time before they're expected to come out here.
Right. They're in the number 400s, and there's a lot of participants in the race, so we're super excited. We brought our microphone and our speaker and everything, so we're super excited to cheer all the ladies on.
So you want to be, you know, loud and make sure that you're heard.
Oh, we're going to get heard regardless without the microphone, but most definitely we want everybody to hear us.
And, you know, as a supporter, what does it mean to you to be out here, not just see your friends, but also the other women out here?
Oh, gosh, you see women of all sizes, shapes, and everything, so it gives everybody an opportunity to just come out here and compete, not only for, you know, their community, but also for themselves, because it's an internal gratification as well.
And Cindy, you said that, you know, she came through this breast cancer survival, and they gave her a bike to do this.
Yes, from my understanding, they gifted her a bike a few months ago, and she was super excited about that. So as a Lion Sister, we just wanted to be out here to support her and Miriam.
Great, that's awesome. Is there anything else you would like to add about what you're seeing out here today?
No, just Mighty Mujer, go get them.
Go get them. That's perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So like you said, you know, like she said, we're out here. She's waiting to see Cindy, so we'll keep you guys updated as we see more bikers come in. For now, Natasha, Allie, back to you.
All right, Stephanie, go get them. And you know,
yes. Those
Cindy,
two girls,
yeah, you know them.
Miriam and Cindy, those are the two girls that I worked with this year, as well as another girl named Ceci. She's one of my coworkers. Maite was another girl that worked with us very shortly. So it's really exciting to hear that they're on the bike right now. So I'm pretty excited to know where they're at right now.
Right.
And then hopefully eventually once they come back this way, then they're going to do the run. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, seeing them, you train them, right? You kind of coach them and everything. So seeing them out there in the course doing this for real.
Is this their first time?
This is their first time. They also had to learn how to swim.
Oh, they learned how to swim.
They had to learn how to swim before. And then Cindy didn't have a bike and got one donated to her from Paso here in the local community. And then Miriam is her friend that they're both in the Lions Club together. And they came to me because Cindy went to high school with my sister and asked me to help her out. So, and then Ceci's another girl she's a runner, and she decided, I'm gonna do it, because I kept telling her at work, come on, you gotta do it. So now she's doing it.
Awesome.
Very exciting. But we want to send it over to Monica. She's at the finish line. As we mentioned, we're already seeing some of those sprint participants crossing that finish line. Monica.
Yeah, Alejandra and Natasha, it really is incredible just seeing these women crossing the finish line, hearing them say they are Mighty Mujer. And I actually have a Mighty Mujer right here with me. Real quickly, what's your name?
Miranda.
Miranda, so you just finished. Did you do the whole thing or was it a relay?
Yeah, I did the sprint distance.
Oh my God, how was that?
It was a challenge, but it was worth it.
How long have you been practicing for?
Like 3 weeks. No, spring break is when I got serious.
That is incredible. And so tell us, what are your thoughts right now going through your head?
I'm glad I did it. I was scared because of the cold weather this morning, and it's my second year, so I kind of got anxious, but I just went for it once I started.
So how does it feel to be a Mighty Mujer?
Amazing. Mujeres.
There you go. Thank you so much. So there you have it. That's so incredible. I can't believe I just spoke to a Mighty Mujer. But you know what? We are seeing many of them just moving on through. Some of them doing the relays, some of them doing all of it. But it's just a huge accomplishment the minute you cross that finish line, whether you did a relays or all of it. You beat yourself and you set a new record for yourself. So that's amazing all around. Alejandra, Natasha?
All right, thank you, Monica. I'm going to take a minute real quick to explain who this race benefits. So it's benefiting the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence. Part of the proceeds are going there. So very important organization in our area. Just to give you a real quick statistic, 800 calls directly related to sexual assault. They received that many calls. So very important organization in our area.
Absolutely. I know that Gabby had said that this had all started just as a fundraiser initially, and that's how
a calendar, right?
Yes. So
yeah.
it evolved into that, and they decided to say, you know what, let's go ahead and do a triathlon, an all-women triathlon, and that's how they came up with the name Mighty Mujer. But I think the name Mighty Mujer was already in when it first started, and it's a great cause. Some of the women, if they decide to go ahead and register, I think they can raise up to so much, and then all the funds go to the organization.
Yeah, the name Mighty Mujer, do you think that really speaks to people?
I think it's
on
perfect.
a different level?
It's
Yeah,
awesome, especially with our culture being a Latino culture here in El Paso, and you know, just the women. I mean, it makes them feel awesome. You know, it's like, you know, people even kind of joke, but then kind of say it, you know, like really cool, like, hey, Mighty Mujer, I saw you at Mighty Mujer, and so it's really cool. It's like a club.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Mighty Mujer has grown. We mentioned we're now having these triathlons in Austin, Miami,
Tucson.
In Tucson. And so a lot of women are now across the country are turning into Mighty Mujeres.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. All right, we're going to go back to Monica Cortez. She is at the finish line. Monica, who do you have with you out there?
Isabel Zamora. Hi, I'm here with Isabel Zamora, and let me tell you, she is the pure definition of a Mighty Mujer. Isabel, tell us, how does it feel finishing, first of all?
Oh, finishing, it was amazing. It's really nice to see everybody here and supporting each other, and just being in an event like this where it's just all women and we have to like face different challenges, and it's really nice. I like it. I love this.
And what's really cool about her, guys, is that so far right now, she is in first place. How does that feel?
I'm really excited. I've been working really hard a couple of years now, and well, I just like train really hard every day, and I just come here to have fun, so I love it.
And she was saying, you're saying that you've been doing this for 10 years?
Yes, approximately, yeah, 10 years.
How hard is it to be keeping up year after year?
Sometimes it's a little bit hard, motivation, keeping up with the kids, work, and everything else. I guess that's well, the definition of Mighty Mujer, you have to do a little bit of everything. But you know what? It's just at the end of the day, you have to put your priorities in check, and the love for yourself, the love that you show like for your kids, and they see how important it is to take care of yourself, and that's really important to show them.
Oh my God. Well, congratulations. You're a true inspiration. I really do hope you take that win. And yeah, and so good luck, and I hope to one day be kind of like you. I really do want that. So back to you, Natasha and Alejandra.
All right, thank you, Monica.
I like how she said what we've been talking about. She's there with her daughter and setting an example for your children and setting that healthy lifestyle for them.
Absolutely. That's really important, especially with all the kids coming, you know, going through schools right now, and there's always that big talk about childhood obesity, and it's really important to make sure that we can be those role models for the kids.
And she mentioned, you know, she's been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
So do you think any of our first-timers, do you think that this will happen with them, that they'll continue
that we'll hear from them 10 years later?
You never know. I mean, it can happen. It definitely can happen. If you want it, it'll happen, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I know that I've continued to ride bikes since I was a kid, so it's an amazing thing, and if it makes you feel good and you can do it, go for it.
Yeah, keep doing it. And a lot of women, after doing this one, they'll go to triathlons out of town as well.
Yes. Going out of town, there's a lot of other great, amazing races out in New Mexico, out in Arizona. So there's a lot of marathons, a lot of triathlons, a lot of dualathons. So you can, the weather out here is just, again, it's a great place to do it.
Yeah, and Mighty Mujer expanding, as you mentioned, Ali. They're going to Miami, Tucson, Austin. And I had spoken with Gabby about this. She said Austin is a lot like El Paso in the hills.
Yes.
So that's also very challenging. But what's interesting about both Miami and Austin is they'll be swimming in lakes.
Yes.
Oh,
so
that's
open
tough.
water is tough. Yes, I've done that, and it's you know, it's a lot different. It's a different ball game. So because you're swimming against current, you have to kind of check to see when the water's pushing you along and make sure that you're going the right direction, because if you're going out too far, then what ends up happening is you expend a lot of energy, and so then you get tired, and then you're out in the sun and everything, and so there's a lot of challenges to that too, and that's a different ball game than the pool, but it feels pretty. It's a different type of swim too, because you kind of have to check up and all that.
All right, Amy, I have one last question. So will you train us?
Absolutely.
Natasha's already throwing me into the race next year.
Let's do it.
Will you continue to have training and you yourself be a coach?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like an unofficial thing for me, you know, but I love doing it because it's fun, and just to see like the new ladies come out, and you know, they're like, I'm like, it's okay. I know what they're feeling. I know what it is. And so I would love to train you guys and help you guys out.
Well, thank you.
I'm better at the mental part, though, I think. But I would love to do that. It'd be fun.
All right, Amy, thank you so much for joining us. We've appreciated your perspective so much. It's been great hearing from you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And we want to remind everyone that we do have a lot of participants here who are from out of town. A lot of the racers here today, if you want to watch this coverage, you can watch it again later, because this is going to stay up on KTSM.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fun. This is our second year out here, so it's been a blast.
Thank you.
And congratulations to all you Mighty Mujeres.
Yes, congratulations to all the girls that worked very hard this year, and I'm really proud of every one of them.
We are too. Very inspirational, and we hope to be back again next year.
Yes.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye.
KTSM 9 News presents exclusive coverage of the 2019 Mighty Mujer Triathlon, broadcasting around the country in conjunction with USA Triathlon.